I made the movie Yearlings, and it was from the school NYU Tisch. It's a short film about a young girl who is left alone by her mom in this big farm in the middle of nowhere in France, and she meets this guy who comes to fix the wall, and this guy, he comes with his horse, and she becomes fascinated by him and the horse, and they begin to develop a friendship. She ends up seeing something that sort of changes her understanding or advances her understanding of the world and human nature and things like this. The first image I had in mind was really just the image of just a horse like running freely across the countryside, because to me it was always, it's a very personal thing. It's always something that I watch with so much envy and beauty. It's like the sort of symbol of pure freedom. And so I then wanted to try to make a story about what that would mean and what that freedom can mean for certain people, basically. I love working with 16. I used to work at a film lab, so it was something that I always kind of knew, and I think some people are scared of it, but I wasn't. And then so this movie, we decided um, with my DP, we decided to make it seem like it was a memory, because he read it and he said, "This seems like it's a memory." I said, "Oh, that's interesting, because it's not really a memory. It's not like it's a story that happened to me, but it's the way that I wrote it. I wanted to feel that way." So 16 became a very obvious choice to help us like anchor it in this time that doesn't really exist in real time, but feels like it's from the past or something. So that's why we decided to shoot it in 16, which was great. It was super easy. We were all outside. We didn't really have any lights or nothing. So yeah, the shooting was great. We were able to keep like a super small crew and be very quiet and like moving along, and everybody was having fun. And we had to be quiet because the horses, they're very scared of everything. So they would, like, if you leave like a piece of equipment, they don't understand what's going on, so we had to move like a little group organically and everything. But it was, yeah, it was a really nice shooting. um Only like maybe 6 days or something. Yeah, very short. The thing that I tried to do with the thing that was the most important for me in the way that I wrote it and then in the way that we shot it, was that it was supposed to be beautiful. It wasn't supposed to be like a crass, like disgusting thing, because that's not what I was trying to mean by the scene. I was trying to make it seem as innocent and um, beautiful as possible. So we were looking to make it seem like almost like a mythological creature, like a Sagittarius. The image that I wanted it to look like was a Sagittarius, like he is the same thing as the horse. So for the eyes of a little girl, it's not like very clear so much what's going on, even though she understands enough of it. It's more like something striking that you build your imagination around and you build your world around. And I think that's always been how in a world where sexuality is so taboo and we never talk about it, everything we always learn is through these images, and we take them and then they come back to you like 20 years later. You remember that you see something and it like shocks you, but sometimes it shocks you in a beautiful way, and it stays with you. So that's what we were trying to build up to, and that's why we made it into this very poetic, like slow zoom, and we took out the sound, so it's not like a, yeah, so we brought it a little bit away from reality, if that makes sense. I really owe a lot to NYU, just because I think it's harder for some people. Maybe it's harder for women, maybe it's harder for people of color to make a film, because you have to sort of um, have this privilege of having a whole crew working for you, and walking around in a room and like owning the space and things like this that I realize is not a given for a lot of people. And I don't want to classify it so easily, but um, a lot of people who are maybe not, they wouldn't do, so a lot of people wouldn't do it without film school, because you get there and everybody's on the same level and everybody's working for each other and you're doing so many films all the time and you're getting it out of your system, and you're taking away the ego and you're taking away all these things and you're just able to be a lot more vulnerable. So that was for me the biggest takeaway from film school, and why I really am happy that I did it, was to be able to just like make movies with a lot of people who were also there to make movies, and we're all participating together, and there's no fear of taking leadership like this. You just learn what it is that makes a movie, and learn what it is that makes a director, and you're no longer afraid of it. I think, to me, that's a big thing that film school does. I think it's the simplest thing in the world. It's like the thing that makes you emotional. It's just the thing that you escape to. It's somebody else's story that you see and you have a reaction to, whether it's, and it's always super easy, right? It's like laughing, crying, being happy, and then the mix of those things at the same time is where I think cinema happens. That's why I don't like movies that don't have a little bit of a sense of humor. I don't like movies that are too much one thing or too much another. But it's the most beautiful thing in the world to be able to experience somebody else's story and feel something about it. I mean, it's like the cure for all the illnesses of the world in a way. It's like creating empathy for things that you would never look twice at, basically.